So I want you to picture that you're back in high school, you're a junior, okay? This is normally the time when maybe you and some of your peers are taking the SATs or the ACTs, maybe thinking about going to college before you decided to make that right turn and go into the Navy. Here you are, all right? Maybe some of you went to the college first and then you came to the Navy, but I digress. We're getting ready to take those SATs and those ACTs, right? And when those test results come out, some people scored really high, some people scored right in the middle, and some people didn't really do that great in the exam. Maybe they didn't study, or maybe they have a hard time with exams. Whatever the case is, those really low SAT scores or SAT scores weren't really up for consideration, right? Now, colleges can only accept so many students per year, right? So now that those students that had those scores, they put their applications together and they apply for those different colleges, okay? The students that had a really good test score, but didn't do like much else, maybe they didn't do sports, or they weren't involved in instruments or band or orchestra or anything else, so no scholarships aside from maybe a little bit for the education, probably are not going to get into the top schools, even though they've got a great SAT score, right? They might get feedback that says, hey, apply for one of our other schools and you might be able to transfer up later, okay? So they get to go to some of the outlying schools that maybe aren't quite as popular, but they still get the job done, right? So think about that as going to a command that you're not thrilled about, but because not so many people applied to it, you got that one. All right. Now, for the other ones who scored really high, but they also did sports, they were great on their football team or great on their baseball team, and they're bringing that to the table. Maybe they're a great violinist or a trumpet player or even a vocalist or an actor or something too, right? They get scholarships for that. So those schools want those people the most. So those are the people that are getting, you know, even though there's only so many people that can get into Harvard or Yale, those are the ones that are getting selected because they're bringing the most to that college, right? And then there are some who not only did they not do well on the SAT or ACT, but they didn't do that well at their high school already. So they don't have a great transcript to bring it, and they're not getting accepted anywhere, right? They might get to go to a community college, but they're not really going to advance right away. They're going to have to do some work to catch up. Let's think about that as our people that fail the RKE, all right? All that to say that the way that BBA works is it's a true meritocracy, but it puts the power in your hands as the applicant, all right? Whereas before, under the legacy system, which some rates are still under, you had to have great evals, maybe some awards, and you had to get a good cut score, and then all of a sudden you got that notice and congratulations, PO2, PO1, PO3, way back when, you're advanced to the next higher pay grade. That's just not the way it works for most rates anymore. Now you get what's called a Detailing Marketplace Eligibility Indicator, or DMEI, and that goes in your My Navy assignment resume. And that DMEI is a score that's calculated based off of your cut score on the exam, your PMA or RISCA PMA, any awards you might have. It's the same as what's on your profile sheet, but instead of it going into you either did or did not advance, it goes into a score that's a consideration factor for whether or not you're going to get the billet that you apply for. So now let's talk about how we make that work, right? So we discussed how the framework of it operates with the rating knowledge exam. You take the test, as long as you pass, and my colleague Fat Chief already hit on this, right? What you want to see is pass, not advance on your profile sheet, okay? If you see pass, not advance, that means that you cut high enough on the exam that you are considered for the next higher pay grade. You're never going to get P&A points from that. It's just not how the system operates anymore, because you're not necessarily taking it every cycle anymore. If you pass the rating knowledge exam and you get that DMEI that we talked about, that DMEI is good for 24 months in that same pay grade. So you have up to 24 months to select orders in the next higher pay grade, or once you do advance, if you select orders that advance you to that next higher pay grade, you'll take the RKE now for the next higher exam, all the way up until when you're a Chief Petty Officer, okay? Because Chief Petty Officer, even though they're not technically BBA, they fall under the Senior Enlisted Marketplace, or SEM, and guess what? Same but different. And Chiefs that are watching this video, I hope that helps you understand BBA better, because if you really look at BBA in the same mindset that we look at SEM for our chiefs, or our unpaid chiefs that are trying to get paid, it's the same thing, all right? A2P is the same thing as advancing in the Senior Enlisted Marketplace looking for orders, whereas CA2P, or Command Advancement to Position, is the same thing as ARA, all right? Junior sailors, tune that part out. You'll learn about that when that time comes, right? That was for our chiefs that might be having a hard time understanding this process too. Again, we're all learning. This is new to most of us. So strategizing. When you're in my Navy assignment and you see that detailing marketplace eligibility indicator, that DMEI, is reflecting on your resume, and for the sake of argument, if you took the March exam, that means that you should be seeing that in your resume now, and the first time you'll be able to apply for the next higher pay grade on my Navy assignment will be in the August-September cycle, so the next cycle. Just hang tight.